Last night, we began week number 3 of the 2025 NFL season with a Bills victory over the Dolphins. So that only means one thing. It is time to make our picks for the rest of the entire week 3 slate here on VinCon Sports Talk, episode number 58. Vinny Martin, Connor Swanson back at you with another one here on this lovely Friday afternoon. Before we get started here today, please make sure to give us a follow on all of our social medias, Instagram and TikTok, and then hit the subscribe button on Spotify and YouTube, whatever you are watching or listening to this on. Connor, last night, very interesting game between two AFC East rivals, and we got a lot of interesting games to talk about in week 3.
Yeah, I mean, last night you said it. We'll do a full breakdown here in a second, but definitely a closer game than a lot of us were anticipating. But as for, the rest of the week, a lot of good games on the schedule. Looking forward to it, Vinny. And, we're good to be doing this on a Friday. We've been doing a lot of Thursday recordings for the first 2 weeks, so we have a little more injury news now that we're able to record on Friday as opposed to the Thursday where we don't really have too much information.
Yeah, definitely good for making our picks for the week. Me and Connor have gotten off to pretty good starts. I'm 24-8. You were 25-7. So not bad starts here for the 2025 season. But this week, there's going to be a little bit of a shakeup because we have a lot of different picks. We'll get to that. Five different picks
total.
So we'll see how that affects the standings. There's a lot of toss-ups here. But just before we start on the picks, we'll quickly go over what happened last night in Buffalo, Highmark Stadium. Thursday night game, a lot of people were writing it off as being a potential snooze fest. One of these teams, including the announcers, by the way, Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, definitely
the entire time.
They were already giving us a warning before the game started. They're like, well, one of these teams is definitely better than the other. Well, that is definitely true, but I will say the Miami Dolphins put up a good fight last night. The Bills ended up winning 31-21. It was much closer than that the whole game, but the Bills were able to break away at the end. Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things, 22 for 28, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's just kind of what he does now.
Yeah.
You don't see very many 300-yard games from Josh Allen because he's extremely efficient and they run the ball very well. And that is largely in part in James Cook. 19 attempts, 108 yards and a touchdown. He is turning into an absolute stud. He's had such a good start to the year, one of the best runners in the NFL. On the other side, Tua didn't look bad. I don't want to say he looked bad, but he had his signature turnover when it mattered the most on the last drive of the game with a chance to get the Dolphins to tie it, I think. Yeah, with a chance to tie it. Tua does throw a really, really bad interception into double coverage with other guys wide open. Just really, really bad pick there. He throws for only 164 yards, which is crazy because I feel like he was throwing the ball the entire game. But when he wasn't throwing the ball, the interesting part is Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon was kind of splitting the touches in the backfield. Ollie Gordon had 9 carries, definitely the better runner last night, but Achane did make up for it with 6 receptions, as you would expect from him. And then Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, the two dynamic wide receivers for the Dolphins, they both get 5 catches and a touchdown. Neither of them had a crazy amount of yards. Again, the story with the Miami Dolphins this year has been the inability to throw the football down the field. And we saw it last night. The couple times that they tried, they were unsuccessful. They were drawing up screenplays, just short passes, check downs all night long.
That's all they could do. It's all they could do to move the ball.
All they could do. And it was frustrating to watch, but they somehow stayed in this game. They had a few drives where they were converting every third and fourth down that was handed to them.
To end the first half especially, they did.
To end the first half, they started out the game with a great drive. They ended the first half with a great drive. They looked like they could be in this game the whole way, and they were. And Buffalo, I don't think they were even nervous. The Dolphins gave them a fight, but the Bills, they closed the game out like they know how to do right at the end, and they were able to get this win. But for Miami, so we know the Bills are good. We know they're Super Bowl contenders. They're 3-0. Even though they kept this game close, I'm not worried about them, so we could put them to the side for now. For the Dolphins, 0-3, Connor. We're going into week 3 now. We could start getting into the out conversation now.
Yeah.
Are the Dolphins out? Are they out? 0-3.
It's tough because this team hasn't looked the part, right? Until I would say this week, they kind of looked like they had some of that juice that we've seen in the past, but still can't throw the ball downfield, very inconsistent, still turning it over. You're in a very rough spot. I'm not going to say they're out yet, but I think you dropped to 0-4, right? Because this is a game you're supposed to lose, right? This is a game You're not supposed to come out and win. So you're not supposed to go 1-2 with this game. So being 0-3, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think, yes, you're in a tough spot. But if they play like this every game, I think they're able to beat some teams going forward. So I wouldn't say they're out just yet, but next week if they fall to 0-4 and they look bad, definitely going to be talking about that. But I'll say this, Vinny, quick thing here. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for the roughing the punter call that they got late in that third quarter, the Dolphins have a chance to take the ball, go down, and take the lead. It's really crazy how much of that play switched everything. Because at that point, Josh Allen had been stopped 2 times in a row on 3-and-outs, right? And that would have been the third 3-and-out in a row that the Dolphins have gotten to stop. The momentum would have been all in their favor. The offense would have been like, okay, we can actually do this. We have a chance in this game. They could have gone down, scored even just a field goal or something, take the lead, and the momentum is all there. But as soon as you rough the punter like that, the entire game just switches, it flips. And the Bills were able to go down, score a touchdown, and that was basically it. So Dolphins were in this game, but even Mike McDaniel, he said it in the post-game interview. He's like, we're not taking much positives away from this game because at the end of the day we lost. No. So it's tough.
Yep. And they still use the same weird formula on offense. They just can't throw the ball downfield. It's crazy what happened to them, but teams they can game plan for it now. And I will say they got just a crazy exciting matchup with the New York Jets on Monday Night Football next week. So get ready for that. Maybe they can get their first win, but that might be like an out bowl. Maybe that could be like a whoever loses that is out.
Loses out. It might just be a game that I don't watch.
Well, that's a lie because you will watch it, even though you say you won't. You will. But
right, anyways.
That is what happened last night in Buffalo. Now it is time for the other 15 games, and we have some good ones here. So we are going to be going through and giving you our picks as we normally do. So why don't we start in the birthplace of rock and roll, I think they call it, Cleveland.
Okay.
I
sounds like it. Sounds right.
Yep, sounds right. Tell me about it.
I was going to say let's start with my favorite team because why not?
No, not that.
Green Bay Packers, 2-0, taking on the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, as Vinny mentioned. This is it's going to be a game where the Packers are heavily favored, right? Similar to what we saw with Baltimore a week ago. But there are still a lot of injury concerns for the Packers, especially on the offensive line, which is always not what you want when you're facing Myles Garrett in that defensive front for the Browns. So for the Packers, guard Aaron Banks he was limited yesterday with a groin injury. Cornerback Nate Hobbs limited Thursday with a knee injury, but he played last week. He should be okay. Josh Jacobs was limited with an ankle injury. I'm sure he'll be out there. The big one was Tucker Kraft. He popped up on the injury report yesterday with a knee injury. Allegedly, it's not too serious, but it could be something that holds him out. It could be a slight MCL sprain, which would be pretty unfortunate for him as he's had a fantastic start to the year. Actually, tight end 1 in fantasy points so far this year. So that would be a big loss for them. But, they got Luke Musgrave behind him. Then Jaden Reed, obviously any of you guys who watched that Thursday night game, you saw how hard he came down on his shoulder. He was already dealing with a foot injury as well, so he hasn't practiced at all this week. I'd imagine he is not there on Sunday. And then Zach Tom, star right tackle for the Packers, he's been limited with an oblique injury, and that one is not looking too good for him, so expect him to miss the game. So a couple offensive linemen losses there for the Packers, which could be a little rough. You could have a rookie facing off against Myles Garrett on that right side, which is never what you want, but we're going to see how that goes. For the Browns, only big injury is Joel Bitonio, who didn't practice, one of their star offensive linemen. He has a back injury, so we'll see what his status is as we move closer to Sunday, but besides that, they're looking pretty healthy. Vinny, this is a game where I think we're both pretty confident in what we think is going to happen. I'm just going to get right into it. I'm taking the Packers in this game, and I don't see the Browns really keeping up. I think this Packers defense has been the best in the league for a reason, right? They're very good, and this Browns offense is, maybe they looked all right week 1, but week 2, I think they came back down to earth against a good team, and I don't think Joe Flacco and company are going to be able to do too much against this Packers defense.
Yeah, plain and simple, the Packers defense, they shut down the Lions and they shut down the Commanders. Those are 2 upper-level offenses in the NFL. Face the Browns, it's going to be pretty ugly. So I am going to take the Packers. And hey, Connor, I don't think there's any reason to save this segment until the end anymore because we are confident the Packers are our lock of the week for week number 3.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. We are 2-0 so far. We're trying to get it right every single week. A team that we are both extremely confident will win in their respective week. And lucky for you, Connor, the Green Bay Packers, they're the team this week.
I will always jump. I will always leap at the opportunity of taking the Packers as the lock of the week because that just makes me feel good.
Hey,
But sometimes it's a little scary though, because then everyone's on them, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
they start playing bad, and you're like, whoa, watch out. But I don't think that's gonna happen here. But
It's too much of a talent gap here for me.
I agree.
Just to even be close. But anyway, we both take the Packers there. Let's move on.
Yeah, not much to talk about there. Let's move on to a game that should be much more interesting here because of the quarterback situations. The 2-0 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Minnesota to take on the 1-1 Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, the big injury news here is the quarterbacks, right? Joe Burrow, he's going to be out. Had his surgery. Apparently it went well. That's good for him. But he's going to be out till December. J.J. McCarthy on the other side, right? He hasn't practiced. He's going to be out with an ankle injury, high ankle sprain. So he's probably out at least 3 weeks. They might hold him out till after the bye week. We mentioned that on the last episode. So it's going to be Jake Browning, right? Because the Bengals they could have gone out and traded for a quarterback, but they did not do that. So it's going to be Jake Browning starting at least this week, and then Carson Wentz starting for the Minnesota Vikings. So this is kind of a very interesting quarterback duel here we're going to have in Minnesota, which is going to be fun to see. We'll talk a little bit more about that after I get through the rest of this injury report real quick. For the Bengals, defensive end Shamar Stewart didn't practice, ankle injury. Cornerback Cam Taylor-Britt didn't practice with a hamstring injury. So those are two big pieces on the defensive side of the ball. For Minnesota, tackle Christian Darrisaw still dealing with that knee injury, hasn't practiced this week. And then center Ryan Kelly hasn't practiced with a concussion. He'll likely be out. Also, an offensive lineman, a guard, Donovan Jackson, he was limited with a wrist injury. So they're right there. There's 3 offensive linemen, right, against not the best pass rush, but still, you don't want to be missing 3 of your starting offensive linemen in any given week. And then good news for them, cornerback Jeff Okudah is back from a concussion, and Andrew Van Ginkel should be back after suffering a concussion 2 weeks ago. So good news, bad news, but the biggest ones, obviously, Vinny, the quarterback situation. How do you think that changes this game?
I mean, it changes the game tremendously. I mean, you're looking at. In my opinion, I'm looking at an easy Bengals win if it was the rosters that we came into the season with. Yep, I know, because the NFL and their fans overrated the hell out of the Minnesota Vikings this year, and it makes me so mad because if they played a team that wasn't the Chicago Bears in week 1, they get stomped. And then last week on Sunday Night Football, they get stomped. So. Yeah. That's what I have to say about that. The quarterback news changes things a little bit because now you're looking at Jake Browning, who threw a lot of picks last week, but also led his team to a win. You know, he did enough to get his team the win. He wasn't good, but he did enough. Versus a guy by the name of Carson Wentz, okay, hasn't been a starting quarterback on a team since 2022. He's been the backup on the Chiefs the past couple years. Obviously, no need for him. So, Carson Wentz, I don't know what to expect. He hasn't played a meaningful game in forever. I don't like the odds of the Vikings with a quarterback who hasn't played a meaningful game in years, which is basically what they've had to start the year anyway. With J.J. McCarthy, it hasn't gone well for them. So, I know there's a lot of weapons for the Vikings. I understand that. I think the Bengals, even with Jake Browning, are a better football team. I think the offense is just better. So I will take the Bengals in this game. I'm so out on the Vikings. I'm so out on them.
And Vinny, I'm out on the Vikings too. Let's start with me saying that because after last week, I think off air I told you I didn't want to take the Vikings ever again until the quarterback injuries, happened. We learned that neither of them would be playing here. And I'm looking at this matchup, and all I'm seeing is a very good Minnesota Vikings defense against a quarterback named Jake Browning who just threw 3 picks to the worst pass defense in the NFL. And all that screams to me is that the Vikings are going to absolutely ruin this guy's week. They're going to blitz him like crazy. They're going to disguise packages. He is not going to know what hit him. And even if the Vikings barely do anything on offense, I think it'll be enough. I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to score. They're going to have points, but I don't think they're going to be able to, put up as many points as they did a week ago against that Jags defense. Carson Wentz, some notes on him. I wouldn't be hot take by me. I think the Vikings will look better with Carson Wentz than they did with J.J. McCarthy. And I don't think that's crazy to say because J.J. McCarthy looked absolutely terrible. And I think when you get a guy who maybe he hasn't played a meaningful game in a couple years, but he has played several meaningful games in his career, right? So maybe it's been a little while, but he has been in big-time games plenty. in his career, especially his time with the Eagles, right? So he has been in games. He knows how to operate an offense, and I think he's going to be just fine when he has Justin Jefferson and company at his disposal. So I'm taking the Vikings in this game, even though I didn't want to. I'm doing it.
First differing pick of the slate today, and we'll see what happens. It's definitely a complete just mess, unpredictable.
No.
You don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to see it. But with that being said, we'll move on to, again, we'll talk about my favorite football team, the New England Patriots, after coming a big win in Miami last week, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So a pretty exciting matchup here, I think. Injury news, Joey Porter Jr., Deshaun Elliott, and Alex Highsmith all did not practice, so three big pieces of the Pittsburgh defense, who has already struggled quite a lot. On the New England side, Christian Gonzalez is making strides to getting back on the field. He was limited in practice yesterday with the hamstring. I think he is questionable status going into Sunday. The Patriots have struggled in their secondary without him, so he would be really important to have back. Carlton Davis, our CB2, you can call it, limited with an Achilles injury. Harold Landry, the linebacker, limited. So three huge pieces on defense for both ends dealing with injury concerns, but neither defense has been good. Neither defense has lived up to expectations. The offenses have been a little bit better than expected, I think, especially the Steelers. Last week didn't look great. Looked great in week one. I don't think it's crazy to say that this could be a much higher scoring game than people give it credit for, just because defensive injuries, both defenses haven't looked good to begin with. Long story short, in a toss-up game like this, which I think is a toss-up at least. I know people don't like the toss-up thing that I say, but I think this is a pretty close competitive game. I'm gonna roll with my guys. I'm gonna roll with the Pats. They looked good on offense last week. The Steelers let the Jets and the Seahawks just throw the ball all over them, run all over them, and I don't think the Patriots are that much different than the Jets or the Seahawks, in my opinion. I think they're on the same level offensively, and I don't see why the Pats can't do the same thing and outscore them. So that's going to be my pick for this week.
Yep. I mean, I have no problem with that. Again, I honestly agree that this is a pretty similar game where it could be a toss-up, could go either way. I'm going to ride with the Steelers. I know that defense has been bad. I know they have some injuries. But I feel like Mike Tomlin, he doesn't let that happen for a whole season. He just doesn't. Okay, this is a team that is built around playing tough, solid defense, right? They're not known for giving up many points. And the first 2 weeks have been bad, yes. But I think this is almost a get-right game. If a couple of these guys miss, I think you put in some backups who are going to try and earn their spot in the starting lineup. Show Tomlin that they have what it takes. They can be tough. They can be physical, play some hard defense. And I think Aaron Rodgers, even if maybe the stat line wasn't pretty last week, he still made some incredible throws. I still think he still got it, right? I've been saying it for the entire season, the 2-week season so far, but I've been saying he still got it. I think the Steelers are going to be able to score points, and I think this is the week that the Steelers defense comes to play, and I think it's going to be enough to knock off the Patriots here. But again, it could go either way. I think this is a very close game.
Okay, so we have another set of differing picks there. We'll move on to a battle in the AFC South between the 2-0 Indianapolis Colts and the 0-2 Titans here. Big pieces on both sides. The only major injury news here, L'Jarius Sneed, been dealing with those injury problems for a while now. He's did not participate in practice yesterday, back injury, and then Tyler Warren, been a big part of the Colts offense so far. The tight end is limited with a toe injury yesterday. That's Thursday. So here we go. So the Colts, we're going to find out if they're the 2024 Saints this week. That's what we're going to find out.
Long story short. Here we go. The deciding week.
Yeah, it is. It's a big week for them because the Colts, I think, they obviously played the Broncos, really good defense. They're playing another really good defense here with the Titans. I haven't picked the Colts yet, and I don't want to do it because part of me is very confident that they're going to fall off a cliff. I just don't think they have the talent to sustain this success that they have been producing so far. So with that being said, the Titans against the Rams last week, I thought they made strides. I thought they looked decent. Cam Ward looked better. First touchdown pass was a beauty. So give me the Titans here in an upset at home in front of their home fans, Nashville, Tennessee, to win against the Colts and to shake things up in the AFC South a little bit. So
I love it, and honestly, I'm rooting for it. Okay,
yeah.
My heart wants to pick the Tennessee Titans going into this season. my heart was with the Tennessee Titans. I had them doing very well. I think I had them finishing 9-8, right? Like I was very high on this Titans football team. And yes, two very rough matchups to start the season. On the flip side, the Colts, I mean, they're 2-0. They just knocked off the Broncos, whether it was controversial or not. They were in that game late. So even if they should have lost, they were there. They were down by a point. It doesn't matter. They were in the game. This is a Colts team that is first in the NFL in offensive yards, right? And I think it's a top 6 defense. They're a top 5 defense in yards allowed. This team is playing out of their mind right now. And we talk about the Titans, right? Where, Cam Ward looked a little better last week. This Titans team is dead last in the NFL in offensive yardage. Okay, so that's a problem. And normally you say that and it's not terrible because the Titans are up there in defense, right? But this year, they're not. They're bottom 6 in the NFL in defensive yards allowed right now, which to me is a big red flag because that is what's supposed to be the strength of this football team, Vinny. And as much as I want to pick them to win this game, because I agree with you, I think the Colts are going to come down to earth at some point this year. Right? I do not think they're going to be a crazy good playoff team in the AFC. I don't see it. They're gonna fall off a cliff, like you said. But I can't see it here against the Titans as much as I had high hopes for this Titans football team this year. They just haven't looked the part.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be taking the Colts here. I'm gonna ride the wave that they're on right now and move them along to 3-0.
Hey, that's totally fine. That's probably the smart pick, but I want to see it happen, so we're gonna manifest it. Moving on, AFC South, we continue with another divisional battle. The 0-2 Texans taking on the 1-1 Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Big news for the defensive side, Houston, 2 big pieces, Jalen Petrie and Kamari Lassiter, 2 guys in the secondary there, both limited in practice. And for the Jags, Brian Thomas limited, the wide receiver. He has a wrist injury. And then Brace Tootin. We've seen some work from him.
He was very good last week.
Very, very good. The rookie running back, has a shoulder injury. All these guys are limited. All these guys could see the field on Sunday. So for this game, the Texans, they're the favorites coming in the AFC South. They have looked pretty bad on offense, at least. They're definitely facing the worst defense so far that they're going to face in the Jaguars. Do the Texans get back on track here with a win, is my question to you.
I'm going to say yes. And I think I'm more confident than maybe I should be about this, right? Because obviously, they're 0-2. They haven't looked the part. And the Jaguars are 1-1. They've been able to move the ball on offense. Has been the big thing. So maybe I'm too confident about this. I'm overly confident going in. But I believe the Texans should win this game very easily. All right. I think the Texans defense is too good to allow this Jaguars team to do what they've been doing. Brian Thomas has been playing like an absolute clown these past few weeks, ducking out of, catchable passes because he doesn't want to get hurt. Like, are we serious? Like, I understand, right? You don't want to get a concussion. Like, it's a big concern in the NFL these past couple years. But Trevor Lawrence, like, not every throw he's giving you is trying to kill you. Like, there's been a couple that were bad, and I understand it, right? But he catches the ball, he turns and runs upfield and goes down before getting tackled. Like, I can't fathom the idea that one of the best wide receivers, according to what we saw last year, is going down. I know, it's something we saw Tyler Lockett do for most of his career, which we're like, okay, that's what he does. But to see Brian Thomas Jr., who was so good last year, come out here and just start avoiding contact at all means necessary is kind of ridiculous to me. So I don't like that. That's not the reason I'm picking the Texans, but I had to get a little rant out there because he's been making me very, very frustrated with that. I don't have him in fantasy, but fantasy managers, I'd be fuming if I was you and you had him. But yeah, Texans defense should be very good in this game, right? Yeah. Stingley has been absolutely fantastic this year, one of the best corners in the NFL. And I think offensively, this is a Nico Collins and CJ Stroud get right game. It has to be. If it was not weeks 1 or week 2, it's got to be here in week 3, or else I don't see it happening because this is the best possible matchup you can ask for.
Yeah.
To have a game where CJ Stroud and Nico Collins finally click. And I know he had a touchdown last week, right? But he didn't have much. He had 50 yards, not even. Yeah. So Texans, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, figure it out this game, put on a show, right, on the road, get your first win of the season, and I think things turn around. Yeah,
I agree. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's a golden opportunity for them. I don't think the Jags are going to be able to do anything on this Texans defense, whether Petrie and Lassiter are healthy or not. They've just been so good. So I think it's going to be a combination of that. And, I mean, Houston, they're a better team. Like, come on. Like, lock in, dude. No. Like, this division is so... It's yours. Like, it's yours to lose. And they're getting off to such a bad start. Nope. So you have to win this week. If the Texans are 0-3, They're not going to be out, but they're like,
Especially if the Colts go 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, you're never out in this division. You're never out in this division unless you're out. You're actually out, but I don't like it if they lose this week. But they should win. I like their chances to win. Yeah, take us down to the NFC South real quick.
We're moving on to a game where, it should be interesting because it's, when you have these divisional matchups, it always ends up being, a close, somewhat entertaining football game, right? We have the 1-1 Atlanta Falcons traveling to Carolina to take on the 0-2 Bryce Young-led Panthers. And injuries, Atlanta has some here. Edge rusher James Pierce Jr., the rookie, has been limited with a groin injury. He was pretty big for them last week. Tight end Kyle Pitts, right, who's been very good this year.
Good.
He was limited with a toe injury. And then the biggest news for them, cornerback A.J. Terrell Jr., their star defensive player, has not practiced with that hamstring injury we saw him suffer against the Minnesota Vikings. So I don't think he's going to be out there on Sunday, Vinny, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, there's no report of him being officially ruled out, but this is a hamstring injury. He hasn't practiced all week, looked pretty bad when he suffered it in the game, pulled up immediately. I mean, not good signs here for him. And then for the Panthers, wide receiver Xavier Legette, he has a hamstring injury. He was limited. And then defensive tackle Bobby Brown, not Derek Brown, but Bobby Brown, did not practice with a knee injury. So two guys there for Carolina as well. But injuries aside, right, this is a Falcons team that has been, pretty good this year. A loss to the Bucs week 1 sucked, but they were all over the Bucs early on in that game, right? Could have been a win easily.
Yep.
And then you go out and you look absolutely dominant against the Vikings. And we know how you feel about the Vikings, Vinny, but that Falcons defense was just lights out in that Monday night, in that Sunday night game. So I'm pretty high on the Falcons here to go out and just shut out the Panthers. Not actually shut them out, but play elite defense, force Bryce Young to turn the ball over a couple times. We've seen him do it already this year, right? And I think the Falcons are going to have a pretty easy time managing this game and being able to get the win. I think Bijan has another great game. I hope Drake London gets more involved. For any fantasy managers out there, myself included, a little underwhelming last week, but in a game script like that, I understand it. But hopeful that the Falcons do a little more passing of the football this week as opposed to being able to run it for 200 yards. But overall, I'm going to take the Falcons, Vinny. I don't think there's that much to break down in this game. Panthers just similar to the Titans for me, but even worse. They just haven't looked the part. Bryce Young has not looked at all how he looked to finish last year. And it's just disappointing because we were so happy for him. Like, it was good to see him after getting benched last year. He came back and he had a different vibe about him, different energy. And it was good. It was good to see. He's a good dude. He deserves it. He was playing well. And now you come out this year and you're absolutely, stinking up the place. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I don't want to give up on you, but you're making it kind of tough.
Yeah, I think the Panthers they'll pick up a couple wins here and there this season, but they're not really going places, and they're certainly not going anywhere in this game. The Falcons are too good, defense is too good, so I'm gonna go with Atlanta. Enough said.
All right, and we move on to what could be a nominee for game of the week.
Yep.
The 2-0 Los Angeles Rams traveling to Philly to take on the 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles. For the Rams, offensive lineman Steve Avila still dealing with an ankle injury. He has not practiced. Defensive end Brandon Fisk dealing with an oblique injury, has not practiced. Those are two starters for the Rams that could be out of this game. For the Eagles, it's just tight end Dallas Goedert, who is limited with a knee injury. So we'll see, if he's able to go or not. But this is a very good game, right? Two good defenses who have been playing very well this year. We just saw the Eagles hold the Chiefs to nothing in a very low-scoring game. Rams have been playing elite defense all season long. The big thing for me is, this Eagles offense, right? The pass attack especially. We haven't seen it get going. Even when they could have used some help from that pass game, like especially last week against the Chiefs in a very close game, they could not pass the football. They couldn't do it. And they were lucky to get out of there with a win, but it was not a very good game from them offensively. Like Saquon, he did what he did. He had an all right game, but passing-wise, it really wasn't what you would have wanted. I mean, you look at, you look at the passing offense for the Eagles. Let me pull it up here quick. Where are they? Here we are. Their offense in general, they're the fourth best offense, or the fourth from the bottom, sorry. So the 29th best offense.
Yep.
When it comes to yards per game, right? And obviously, they've been helped out tremendously by their defense being as good as it is, but it hasn't even been that good, right? They're middle of the table defensively as well. So this is a team that they're vulnerable right now. They haven't looked like the Super Bowl champions from a season ago. They've been dealing with some injuries, some changes. And this Rams team, they're ready to pounce, man. One of the best young teams very good defense. Matthew Stafford's been looking fantastic with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, right? I mean, if there was a better, like, I don't know if there's going to be a better spot for an upset in my mind, to be honest. I know we have different picks here, but I'm taking the Rams in this game, and I think this is a very good spot for the Eagles to drop a game. Not because they want to lose a game, but I think they're not ready, man. They haven't been playing well, and they're coming up against a very, very good Los Angeles Rams football team, who I think should be contenders in the NFC this year.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the week. Two good defenses going at each other here. It could be pretty low scoring. I think it could go either way. I do like the Eagles in this game to kind of get right on the offensive side of the ball, just enough to win. Because I think the Eagles, they're in control of their own destiny. I think they have the power. The only way the Eagles lose a game this year, and they will, like, I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated, but the only way that the Eagles lose this game is if they shoot themselves in the foot. Because I think there's no roster top to bottom better in the NFL than the Philadelphia Eagles. So I don't think that's going to happen this week. I think they're a better team than the Rams. They're at home. The Rams are playing a 10 a.m. body clock game here. So I'll take the Eagles in a close one. This game being at 1 o'clock is kind of ridiculous, by the way. This should be at 4.
This should be a Fox 425 game.
100%. Not the game that it actually is this week, which we'll get to later, but that's going to be horrible. So, yeah, I'll take Philly here. We do have differing picks, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams come up with a win. I do like the Rams a lot this year. But
I'm excited about this game. On Sunday, this is the
really
game.
Good.
I mean, outside of the Packers, this is the game I'm most excited to watch.
Yeah, definitely the game of the week in both windows, in my opinion.
Yep.
So I'm definitely excited to see that. But we will move on to a game that's definitely not as exciting. We'll go down to Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers 2-0 facing the 0-2 New York Jets. Emeka Egbuka, the rookie wide receiver for Tampa Bay, did not practice with a hip injury, and then Tristan Wirfs, another big piece of that offense, with a knee injury there, limited yesterday. But on the Jets side of things, way more significant, their starting quarterback, Justin Fields, is out in this game with that concussion he suffered last week, which means Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. They looked awful last week against the Bills. They had no chance. They're facing another good team in the Buccaneers. Do we need to talk much about this game? We know who we're picking here.
No, I mean, I'm taking the Bucs, and I don't. There's not much thought going into it, right? The Jets, they're going to have to run the ball a lot, and they're not going to be able to do it too much. Okay, the Bucs have been a very good defense so far this year, and I don't see much of a chance for this Jets team.
Yeah, I don't either, unfortunate for them. So we're going to be possibly looking at 0-3 Jets versus 0-3 Dolphins on Monday Night Football next week. So
good job,
forward to
schedule
that.
makers.
Yeah, good job, schedule makers. Bad job, Jets. Good job, Bucs. Get your win here.
There we go. So we don't need to talk about that game too much.
We can move on.
Let's roll things along here to kind of a fascinating matchup here between the 1-1 Raiders and the 1-1 Commanders. A team that just got approved to move back to DC.
Congrats to them, man.
Congrats to them. That's big news. That's really cool for the community there. But you're gonna have to try and win a game here without Jaden Daniels, who is your heart and soul. He's ruled out with that knee injury. He suffered it in the Thursday night game against Green Bay last week. It's gonna be Marcus Mariota, and you know I love Marcus because I'm an Oregon Duck guy. So of course, I'm gonna be rooting for my guy in that game. But the fact of the matter is, this really hinders your ability as an offense, which, especially last week, it was already not the best. I know you're going against one of the best defenses in the NFL, but, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin haven't figured it out yet this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if Marcus Mariota can find something here, ignite something here in this offense. It's going to be interesting. Injury-wise, besides Jaden Daniels, that's the biggest one. For the Raiders, Brock Bowers, he's still limited with a knee injury. We know he was dealing with it last week. He ended up playing, so I'm guessing he's going to be good to go, but definitely not 100%. Safety, Jeremy Chin for the Raiders. He's limited with a pec injury. That's a big loss if he can't go, so we'll monitor that. Other injuries for the Commanders. Wide receiver Noah Brown, who Vinny and I have a love-hate relationship with. He did not practice.
What? Why do we hate him?
Because he didn't get the number of catches we needed from him. But it's okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Did not practice with a groin injury. So we're going to see. I think that's why he got pulled from that game actually on Thursday. But we're going to see if he can bounce back and get into this game on Sunday. And then cornerback Trey Amos was limited with a shoulder injury. And I don't think I have to mention Austin Eckler, but I did anyways. He's out, obviously, for the season. So Commanders-Raiders, very interesting game now that Jaden Daniels is out. Geno Smith and that Raiders team looked very good week 1, very bad week 2. I mean, this guy threw the ball 40-plus times and didn't even throw for 200 yards.
Yeah.
That is terrible for Geno Smith. And I know it's a tough matchup with the Chargers there, but you got to do better than that. Now you're coming up against a Commanders team where, I mentioned it last week, they're going to run a lot of man-to-man coverage. It's what they love to do with their 3 corners. Bowers is, if Bowers is healthy, again, I said it last week, Tucker Kraft was going to be the big guy for the Packers against man-to-man, and he was. So if Brock Bowers is good to go, he's going to be a big piece of the offense this week, right? So that's going to be big for them. For me, really, I think this game can go either way. If I was smart, I'd probably take the Raiders. I think the Commanders without Jane Daniels aren't going to be very special. But I love my guy Marcus Mariota so much. Big Oregon Duck homer over here. I'm going to ride with my guy and take the Washington Commanders. I still think they have enough talent. I'm interested to see how Bill or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt does if without Jaden Daniels, because I'd imagine they're going to try and run the ball a little more. So interested to see how he does. But yeah, give me the Commanders in this game, Vinny. In a game that I think can go either way.
Yeah, I'll go the other way and take the Raiders here because, one, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against Max Crosby, right? And now, Eckler's out. Who's the backup to Bill? Do we even know?
Jeremy McNichols. Jeremy McNichols is going to be probably the third down guy.
Right. So running game's not looking good. Marcus Mariota is very serviceable, but the Commanders' offense with Jaden Daniels this year hasn't even looked that great. Like, they haven't looked amazing. So I don't think Marcus Mariota leading this team. They don't have enough to pull past the Raiders. And the Raiders, I'm not saying they're a good team, but I mean, they kind of got lucky this week with the injury news with Jaden Daniels. I think they could pull this one off. I actually kind of like their chances. So give me Vegas, and that's going to wrap up the 1 o'clock window. Let's move on.
Good 1 o'clock window.
Really good 1 o'clock window. And honestly, the 4 o'clock window is pretty busy.
Bad.
It's not bad. I just
wish there was a different game at 4:25.
Yeah, well, don't we all? This is probably the best game of the 4 o'clock window. This first game here, in my opinion, we got the Broncos and the Chargers, a good old fashioned AFC West battle in SoFi Stadium. Chargers have looked great so far. They've looked really good. They're good on the injury news here for the Broncos. Drake Greenlaw has been dealing with this quad injury for the whole season. He's on the injury report every week. So I read that he's not playing. I don't think he's going to play. No, I'm not a doctor, but it just seems like he's not trending in the right direction here. Evan Ingram, their new tight end, he is probably not going to play either.
And he's been bad, too, when he's been out there.
Yeah.
He's been bad. Very ineffective.
Very ineffective. Nothing special. So Broncos, mentioned it, great defense. Didn't look horrible last week against Daniel Jones. Maybe Daniel Jones is just that guy this year. But they face off against a Chargers team who has also kind of held their 2 opponents in check so far. I think it's going to be a good one here. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Herbert's been great. I think it's going to be whatever defense comes out on top. I think, if you look at the rosters, I think the Broncos top to bottom have a better defense. So I will take Denver. Surprisingly, we both are taking Denver here, which I'm kind of shocked here. But it's kind of another toss-up. I don't really know what to even say about this. I think it could go either way. You never know.
This is, first and foremost, I'm happy to see that Surtain isn't on the injury report because we saw him come out of that game last week, and I was really nervous because obviously you hate to see, in my opinion, the best corner in football get hurt like that. So good to see that he's going to be good to go. But yeah, Vinny, this is a fantastic matchup, very evenly matched game, I feel.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is we need to see this Broncos offense turn it around. And they're going to do it at some point. I'm picking the Broncos with you, and I think it's going to happen here. I think they know how important this game is, right? You lose this game, you drop to 1-3, and let who appears right now to be your biggest competitor for the AFC West title,
right?
The Chargers, they would go to 3-0, and now you're 2 games behind already. I think Sean Payton is going to get his guys ready. He's going to let them know how much this game actually means early on in the season, and they're going to go out there. They're going to figure it out. The Chargers have been, a very good team, top 10 in offense and defense so far this year. Broncos have still been good defensively, just outside that top 10. But offensively is where we've seen the struggle. So need to get Courtland Sutton involved. Need to establish the run because that's been the problem is nobody's been able to run against the Chargers. Right? We saw it week 1, the Chiefs, Pacheco did nothing. Week 2, Genti did absolutely nothing. They were forced into like clear passing situations early on in drives. And that's a very good pass defense for the Chargers. Derwin James crashing down. Right, they've had some interceptions already this year. So by no means is this an easy game. I think the Chargers are favored right now. So I think rightfully so based on how we've seen them play so far. But I have faith in the Broncos to turn it around, man. And I don't think the Chargers I think they're going to see some touchdown regression. They've scored a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's something they're going to maintain. This is always one of those teams that is very inconsistent. We mentioned it in the previews. We mentioned even previewing week one. So, previewing week 2, I think it was, because we were like, okay, they played good against the Chiefs, then they could play bad against the Raiders. Yeah. So, but they didn't do it. But I think we're going to see a game like that where the Chargers come back down to earth a little bit. I don't think they're one of those teams that are just going to run the table this year. I just don't think they have that. They have the talent for it, but we've just never seen it. Yeah. And without a run game, the Broncos are going to be able to do the same thing as the Chargers. They're going to be able to say, okay, you're going to pass the ball because you can't run the ball. So we're just going to shut down the pass, right? So it's going to be a pretty even game. Wouldn't be surprised if it's low scoring. But yeah, we both take the Broncos here, and I think it's a fun upset, even if it doesn't seem like much of an upset, but technically it is.
Yeah. How about the Chargers with a chance to sweep the entire division in the first 3 weeks?
That would be that sets
impressive.
The tempo.
Yeah, and that
sets the tone early.
Without playing at home until this week too. So, really tough schedule to start. Playing the entire division weeks 1 through 3 is like unheard of, I feel like. Yeah. So, if they can do it, good on them. We don't think they're going to do it. We take the Broncos. We will move on to a pretty ugly game here.
Yeah, not much to talk about here in this one, honestly. The 0-2 Saints taking on the 1-1 Seahawks in a game that isn't going to be very exciting to watch. It probably will be close, but I'm not looking forward to it. For injuries, tackle Tyrese Fuanga did not practice with a knee injury. Chase Young did not practice with a calf injury. And then offensive lineman Trevor Penning was limited with a toe injury. For the Seahawks, running back Zach Charbonnet didn't practice with a foot injury. That's pretty big news, actually. And then even bigger news, 3 key defensive players, 2 of your safeties, Nick Amanwari, the rookie, did not practice with an ankle injury. Safety Julian Love did not practice with a hamstring injury. And one of your best corners, Devin Witherspoon, didn't practice with a knee injury. These are 4 guys who could be seen as starters for the Seahawks, who haven't even practiced. Right? So this is very concerning for the Seahawks. With that said, we said it, Vinny, off air. This is you want to be playing the Saints when you're missing a lot of starters. This is the team you want to be playing when you have injuries. And the Saints are dealing with their own injuries, as I mentioned. So I don't think, it's going to be close, I'd imagine. I don't think this is going to be a blowout game for the Seahawks. I think they're going to have to kind of work for it, especially early on. But I think Sam Darnold, JSN, and even Kenneth Walker, I think they're going to have a fine time moving the ball down the field. And I think the Seahawks are ultimately going to be the team that's going to come out on top.
Yeah, even with the injuries, if all 4 of those guys were to sit out, the Seahawks are still a better team than the New Orleans Saints, because everyone's a better team than the New Orleans Saints because they're the worst team in the NFL. But I agree with you. I think this will be close. It might be fun. It might be competitive. Hey, Spencer Rattler, show us what you got, man. Show us what you got.
We saw last week the Saints kept it close with the Niners, right? Who were missing Brock Purdy. So it's possible, but
I think they will be in a lot of games this year because they're kind of pesky. They're a pesky little team.
They're like a gnat that won't leave you alone. They're just like. Bzzz.
Shout out Juwan Johnson. Guy's been electric. Even the receivers, Olave and Shaheed, they've been pretty good too. So listen, Saints, I'll take them to keep it close, but unfortunately, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, as I like to say. So we'll take the Seahawks here with a close win here in week number 3. Connor, why don't you just
so we got 2 more games here in this 4 o'clock window, but these are the 4:25 games. First, we have the 2-0 Cardinals taking on the 2-0 49ers. Kind of a fraudulent 2-0 matchup here. 2 teams that maybe shouldn't be 2-0 when you look at it from a roster perspective, but we don't like the paper here, so of course they're going to go out there and win and prove the paper wrong, which tends to happen. Arizona has some injuries. Cornerback Will Johnson, all right? A lot of people were happy that he was able to play the first couple of weeks. Well, that might be coming to a stop here as he did not practice with a groin injury. Another corner, Max Mellon, was limited with a knee injury, so 2 corners could be out for this game. Then offensive lineman Paris Johnson Jr. was limited with a knee injury. For the Niners, big one, tackle Trent Williams, one of the best tackles in the NFL, limited with a knee injury. And then Brock Purdy, still limited with that toe and shoulder injury. He's got a lot going on right now. The reports don't look too good, but he's still questionable. Yeah. So there's a chance he can still play, but I don't see it. I don't see him playing this week. Shanahan said he has a chance to play, but ultimately I think it's going to be Mac Jones again. And Mac Jones might not have Jawan Jennings. He hasn't practiced with an ankle and shoulder injury. So 49ers are still pretty beat up. This is a tough game for them, but I believe that the Cardinals are a fraudulent 2-0 team. I don't think they're as good as their record indicates. I know it's only 2 weeks in, but, I mean, very close game with the Panthers, which probably shouldn't have been. Like,
and the
both
Saints.
games. Yeah, and the Saints. So they have beaten two of the worst teams in football.
Worst.
Very closely. Like, it hasn't been, what's the word I'm looking for? It hasn't been convincing. Yes, thank you. So, with that said, I'm going to take the Niners. Partially on the off chance that I think Purdy can play. You know, there might be a chance that he's out there. And if he is, I think this is a much easier pick for the Niners. But even if it's Mac Jones looked all right last week. So I think he can do that again here against the Cardinals. And when you have CMC, I'm taking the best player. And Nick Bosa, honestly. The 49ers defense is still elite.
Sure.
I think they shut down this Cardinals offense. Give me the Niners.
Yeah, I'll take the Niners. This is whether Mac Jones or Brock Purdy is under center for the Niners. They're better roster construction, and like you said, the Cardinals, their resume is not great in 2025 for being 2-0. So I hate to do it to them. I know I was a little higher on them than you going to the year. They're going to lose their first game this week in Santa Clara, home of the Super Bowl this year. Got an outdoor stadium hosting a Super Bowl, which is always
And I'll
fun.
say this: one of these teams is going to be 3-0.
Yeah, and it's going to, which is kind of crazy. The Niners I'd feel better about the Niners being 3-0 than the Cardinals. If the Cardinals were 3-0, I would feel horrible about it.
All right, that's fair. All right, well, we move on here to America's Game of the Week, right?
America's Game of the Week, Tom Brady.
It shouldn't be.
Kevin Burkhardt. Yep.
It's the 1-1 Dallas Cowboys, which is probably why it's the Game of the Week. And they're traveling to Chicago, Soldier Field, right? To take on the 0-2 Chicago Bears. So what a game we have here. Could have gotten Rams Eagles. But instead, we get Cowboys Bears.
Yep.
For Dallas, Deron Bland did not practice with a foot injury. And then for Chicago, two corners out. Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson both did not practice with respective injuries. Linebacker TJ Edwards did not practice, hamstring injury, and DeAndre Swift was limited with a quad injury. So, I mean, the Bears, they've been terrible. We've called them the bad news Bears. These injuries will only make things worse. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game because the Cowboys' defense is absolutely terrible, and I'd imagine Caleb Williams is able to, at least be good enough to put up a ton of points in this game and kind of make it a shootout like we saw with the Giants last week with the Cowboys. But with that said, I think the Cowboys still are able to outscore the Bears. I think they do enough in the end when it matters. I think they pull away in the fourth quarter, and the Cowboys end up on top here, Vinny. I hate this matchup, though.
Listen, you know how bad I want to take the Bears in this game. But I just can't. Because not only have they lost the first 2 weeks, they have lost the first 2 weeks in some of the most horrific fashion I've ever seen. They go from the choke of the century to getting their I can't even say what I was going to say. Getting destroyed. We'll just go with that by the Lions. So, yeah, the Cowboys defense sucks. The Bears offense kind of sucks too. So that's gonna offset. And the Cowboys might throw another 400 yards on them. Like being completely honest and blunt about it. I'm, hate to do it to my boys over there in Chicago, but it's gonna be a smooth 0-3 for them, unfortunately. So and before the season I took the Bears in this game when I was doing my records. I really did.
And that was before the Micah Parsons trade.
That was before the Micah Parsons trade. So
that goes to show you how much of a Bears homer Vinny is.
I'm a lifer. Through thick and thin.
All right. Well, let's move on to a fantastic Sunday night football game between two 0-2 football teams.
Just amazing game.
You're playing at MetLife. All right. It's the 0-2 New York Giants. And guess who they're hosting? The 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, man. I couldn't have asked for a better Sunday night football game, right?
You couldn't draw it up any better than this.
Couldn't draw it up any better than this.
You couldn't.
The Chiefs could be 0-3 at the hands of the New York Giants. That is something I never thought was going to be possible.
Let it sink in.
Let it marinate for a little bit. Take a sip of water. Just let that sit. Wow. So, injuries.
I don't know how to feel about this.
Got to get through the injuries before anything else. Defensive end for the Chiefs, Mike Dana, did not practice with a quad injury. Cornerback Christian Fulton didn't practice with an ankle injury. So right there, that could be two guys that are starters on that defense that aren't there. Wide receiver Xavier Worthy, still working back from that shoulder injury he suffered in week 1. He is limited. I'd imagine they try to get him out there. And when the team's 0-2, you don't want to risk losing more games if he is has a chance to go out there and play. He's going to be wearing a brace, but I'd imagine Xavier Worthy is out there for a little bit. And then tackle Jawan Taylor, notably known for all of his false starts. He's limited with a knee injury. For the Giants, linebacker Chauncey Golston did not practice with an ankle injury. Wan'Dale Robinson, after dropping a ridiculous game a week ago with the Cowboys, he's limited with a foot injury. And then 2 offensive linemen, John Runyon, Andrew Thomas, both limited. Running back Tyrone Tracy also limited. So a lot of limited for the Giants and a little more concern for the Chiefs. But at the end of the day, this is a game where, I don't know, man. I mean, the Chiefs have just looked terrible for the Chiefs standards, and the Giants just scored 37 points.
Yeah, they sure did.
This is it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. I think I trust Patrick Mahomes. I think I trust Andy Reid and the best coaching staff in football over there in Kansas City to get this win. But, I mean, would I be surprised if this game was somehow close? No.
Not at all.
Because it's just been how the season's going for the Chiefs. And especially if Xavier Worthy doesn't play, I mean, this could be a really close game. This could be I mean, it's already kind of looking like upset watch, like watch out. Like, even though they're both 0-2, the Chiefs are probably going to be pretty heavy favorites. Mm-hmm. But there's just something in the air.
Got a weird feeling in my gut.
There's something in the air, Vinny. At MetLife, the Giants like to do this stuff where they go out and they beat a good team for no reason.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs are they like, they're a good team, but are they even good right now?
They're not good right now.
Not right now.
Not good right now.
So this is a very intriguing matchup, and I think it's a perfect spot here on Sunday Night Football, in front of the whole nation's watching. Yeah. Right. And I think that honestly helps the Chiefs because I think Patrick Mahomes is on prime time. I think he's going to figure it out here, but it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup. I'm going to take the Chiefs. I'm going to ride with the defense especially. I think, the Giants aren't putting up 37 points on the Chiefs, in my opinion. And with that said, I think that'll kind of be the deciding factor in this game is even though the Giants might have the better defense when you look at the talent for each player, I think the Chiefs are coached better, and I think they will be able to slow down Malik Neighbors, and then that's all you need to do. So
yeah. So this is a win-win for me. And you as well, I think. This Sunday night game. I couldn't think of a better situation because here are the 2 options. Either one, the Giants go 0-3, we can continue to clown the Giants and how bad they are, and we're happy, right?
Yep.
Correct. Or 2, the Kansas City Chiefs are 0-3, and they just lost in primetime to the New York Giants, of all teams. So
I don't see a bad result.
Either way, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be going to bed Sunday night a happy guy, no matter what happens, unless they tie.
I'd probably still be happy. That would be hilarious.
Tie would be funny. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They're a better football team.
There is no bad result.
No, there's no bad result. The only bad result is if this game just gets canceled. If they just see it so bad, they just decide, we're not going to play it. We're only going to play 16 games this year. So I'll take the Chiefs. They're a better football team. I do think it's going to be close. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball very well, but neither will the Giants. Like, neither team's going to be able to run the ball very well, I don't think. So
it's going to be a mess, honestly.
It's going to come down to who's going to pass the ball better, and even though Russell Wilson passed the ball much better last week, I think I trust Patrick Mahomes a little bit more. So I'll take the Chiefs here cautiously, but I'll take them. Cautiously, unfortunately. But enough of that. Why don't we move on to, without a doubt, the game of the week. And as it should be, it is on Monday night, the grand finale of Week 3 in Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium, electric primetime atmosphere, almost as electric as it gets, for the Detroit Lions taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Both teams 1-1. Both teams looking very good last week after a bad Week 1 loss. And both teams looked at as part of the class of their conference. So it's going to be a great game. DJ Reed and Marcus Davenport, only for 2 defensive players for the Lions. Reed limited. Davenport did not play or did not practice Thursday, so only real injury concerns there. It's going to be a battle. This is going to be a battle in the trenches. 2 great offenses, 2 pretty underrated defenses, in my opinion. And what's going to happen here? I don't know. Here's the stat I like to look at. Lamar Jackson has an excellent career against the NFC. And it seems like almost every year we say this. He comes in, you look at the NFC team, you're like, they might be slightly better than the Ravens. The Ravens usually come out on top because Lamar is such a unique talent, such a unique guy to game plan for. NFC teams don't do it well. So for the Lions, who we both kind of agree took a little step back this year in 2025, even after destroying the Bears, well, the Ravens ain't the Bears. You're going into a very
Ravens
tough,
ain't the Bears.
They're not the Bears. You're going into what, in my opinion, one of the toughest places to play, especially at night, on prime time. I think the moment's going to be too big for them, if I'm completely honest, in this one.
You got to take into account, like you mentioned, the Lamar Jackson stat. Well, how about Jared Goff being terrible in outdoor stadiums? Right, that's a stat as well. So that fuels the fire some more, Vinny. We got, two stats favoring the Baltimore Ravens here at home.
Yeah.
So
I'm feeling great about the Ravens in this game. I know it's a great matchup on paper, but I feel very, very good about the Ravens in this game. I really do.
I think
that's my
after that week 1, right, where the Lions played the Packers and got absolutely embarrassed, right? Mm-hmm. The Lions said, okay, we need to kind of, they're still a good football team, so they went out and destroyed the Bears. And I think that kind of is sending them into a spot of, okay, like, yeah, we still got it. And now they're gonna stroll into Baltimore Monday night thinking, we're still one of the best. And they probably are, but the Ravens, I think, are a different beast here. I fear they're a different beast in this game. I fear the Ravens are the better team. And I'm with you here. I think the Ravens win this game. I think Lamar Jackson has an absolute masterclass of a game. I will say, I think it's going to be high scoring. Mm-hmm. I think Jared Goff is going to have to throw the ball a lot. I don't think the run game is going to be necessarily... It's going to be good just because of the game script. Like, you're going to be able to run the ball a lot if you're in the game. But a lot of red zone trips, I'll say. So it's good for the running backs that way. But thinking of both running backs getting 20 carries, I don't think that's happening, right? I think it is going to be a pass-heavy game script, and we'll see. I think it makes for a great cap to a fantastic Week 3 slate.
Yeah, so really good game. Definitely the game of the week to end it there. We both are going to take the Ravens. Before we wrap up today, we have to talk a little bit about fantasy football for all of you fantasy managers out there. It's called Starts and Sits. You guys know the drill by now. We each pick 2 guys who we want in our lineup this week and 2 guys who we want to leave out of our lineup. Obviously, this excludes the obvious people. We're not going to be telling you to start Jamar Chase or Christian McCaffrey because that is pretty obvious. More of the guys who you may be indecisive on. We're helping you make some decisions here. If you have these guys on your bench, you want to know to start them or not. So, Connor, why don't you hit us with your 2 starts for Week 3?
Yeah, so first off, I said this game would be a shootout. I said it would be high scoring, okay, and the Bears and the Cowboys, similar to what we saw last week with the Cowboys and the Giants. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say start Rome Odunze. He looks like he is the wide receiver 1 over there in Chicago. I think there is going to be a ton of targets, a ton of pass attempts in this game by Caleb Williams, and that's awesome for a wide receiver like Rome Odunze. He had 2 touchdowns a week ago. I think in a high-scoring affair with the Cowboys, he's going to get into the end zone again. I'd expect 8, 9 plus targets, and he's going to haul in at least 7 of them. So I think a very good game script for this Bears team. Even if they're not going to win the game, I think they're going to put up a lot of points, pass the ball a lot, and that feeds Odunze very well. My other guy, Jordan Mason. All right, you take J.J. McCarthy out of the picture. Maybe, when you have a quarterback change, you tend to see a little more running of the football. It's just how it is. And I also think that I said it. Hot take was Carson Wentz looks better with this offense than J.J. McCarthy did, meaning they're going to be able to move the ball more against a bad defense. And I think that means Jordan Mason's going to have some opportunities in the red zone. No Aaron Jones. Remember that. That's even bigger, right? It's only Jordan Mason in this game. So, I think Jordan Mason is going to be able to take basically every single snap in this game as the running back. And maybe there's some third downs he gets taken out. But, for the most part, he's going to be the first, second down, and third down short yardage guy, right? So, he's going to have all the opportunities in the world, and I think that's going to suit him very well.
Yeah, I like those picks a lot. My 2 starts here kind of goes against what we just said in the last game, but I do like David Montgomery in your lineup versus the Baltimore Ravens, just simply for the fact that I think it will be a high-scoring game. And when the Lions are in a high-scoring game, both running backs are going to get a touchdown. We know that. So if you're in a deep league, you're in a 12-man league, David Montgomery I don't think should be on a bench, especially in a big game like that. If the Lions are on the 5-yard line or less, it's likely going to be David Montgomery getting a carry on first down and likely getting a touchdown with how they operate there. So I like that, to get you probably double-digit points, a touchdown and then some other work as well, hopefully. Also, Jawan Johnson. I mean, he should be a start. It should be a no-brainer at this point. But I mean, for tight ends, there's been
He's the
not
tight
many
end
better.
too right now.
Yeah. So for the Saints, he's the guy. He's the safety net for Spencer Rattler. They're facing the Seahawks this week. Not a great defense, especially with the injuries. So yeah, start him. I don't think he's going to regress anytime soon.
All right, so rolling into our sits here, Vinny, I got a guy by the name of Omarion Hampton versus the Denver Broncos. Chargers running back, only 11.6 fantasy points combined through the first 2 weeks. Right, not a good sign, especially when those games you were winning in both of them. Pretty good game scripts for running the football, and they just could not. They just, for whatever reason, it's not like Najee was splitting 50-50. Hampton had the bulk of the work. Very limited pass work, and just no efficiency on the ground. A couple 8-yard carries, but that's really it. For the other guy, Travis Hunter versus the Texans, you're facing one of the best secondaries in the NFL, and Travis Hunter is not running routes down the field. Right? I think part of that is they're trying to conserve his energy because they know if they get a 3 and out, he's got to hop in there on defense. So he's running a lot of short ins, short slants, and when he gets it, that's great. But then you're looking at 5 catches for 40 yards, and it's nothing to write home about, as opposed to 4 catches for 70 yards, which is already better than that. So I don't like either of these guys this week. I just don't think the matchups are there, and I don't think the usage is where you want it to be right now. Slow start for the rookie running backs overall, Vinny.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of guys who we thought were slotting into lineups right away producing for you. But for my 2 sits, we'll talk about another rookie running back. We'll go Travion Henderson for the Patriots. Everyone was expecting Travion Henderson to slide right into the RB1 role in New England right away.
Yep.
Hasn't happened. He's been primarily a pass catcher, really no work in the running game.
Yeah.
This is not to say that he's not going to take that role at some point in the year, because I think he will. But we need to be patient. It's only been 2 weeks. He's facing the Steelers this week. Not a great matchup, in my opinion. So I think he's good for a couple catches, but I think Ramondre Stevenson is the RB1 for now in New England. So Travion, keep him on your bench. Be patient.
Yeah, definitely don't drop him.
So I think he will be just fine. A lot of people
could be a buy low candidate.
Could be a buy low candidate, and a lot of people expended very high draft picks on him. So just be patient. So I did not a start this week in my book. Also, Michael Pittman, wide receiver for the Colts. They're probably going to make me eat my words again, but facing the Titans, facing a good secondary, I told you guys that I think this is the week that it happens, that the Colts come down to earth, and that would mean Michael Pittman is not as good as he was before. But maybe I'm wrong. And
the only thing I'll say about that is if Tyler Warren misses, and Josh Downs, I think, is also limited right now at practice. So if he misses as well, then Michael Pittman's the only guy there. But
that's true.
I think Tyler Warren will play, and I think Josh Downs will play. So that really goes out the window. But on the off chance they don't, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm playing devil's advocate.
That's fine. No, keep an eye on that for sure. So those are my 2 sets here. We got Pittman and Henderson. Connor has Omarion Hampton and Travis Hunter for starts. I got David Montgomery and Jawan Johnson, and Connor has Roma Dunze and Jordan Mason. So that's going to wrap it up. It's going to wrap up the episode today. Again, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok. Give us a subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Connor, any like crazy hot takes for week 3? Like, I'm going to put you on the spot. Like, what? Anything crazy?
Well, I already had my hot take with the Vikings, where I think the Vikings offense looks better with Carson Wentz at the helm. Other hot takes, let's see. Let me look through at the matchups one more time here. Let's say, I don't know how hot of a take it is, but I'll say this. I'm just having fun here. You put me on the spot. This is just like, I'm just looking through it quick. The Rams blow out the Eagles in Philly.
Whoa, blow them out.
That means I'll say, just to categorize that, I'll say they win by. They win by 2 possessions. So not really a blowout, but they win by 2 possessions.
I don't hate it. I'm still rolling with the Eagles.
What's a hot take with you, Vinny?
Oh man, yeah. See, it's not fun when you're on the spot like that. I will say that the Jets don't score a point this week.
Okay, I love that. Okay,
against the Bucs.
Right.
Shutout, first shutout of the year.
Bang.
That's
it's fun being put on the spot, right? I had to give it back to you.
No, that's fine. Also, the Eagles are wearing white jerseys at home for the first time since 2015 this week.
That's bad juju.
Is news I just saw.
That's bad luck.
You don't think so? You think it's bad?
I mean, the Packers just were white at home, and they just.
I know. The Eagles are not. I'm an expert on this. The Eagles are not a team that wear white at home. There's a few teams that wear white at home. The Eagles are not one of those teams. So I don't know why we're messing with it after winning a Super Bowl, but that's just I wouldn't if it were.
I mean, that it's FOMO. They have a fear of missing out on the white jerseys, man.
But you could wear them on the road, though.
Yeah, but they're not locked in.
I don't like it. But anyway, enough of the nonsense. That's going to wrap up the episode today. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and be sure to join us again next week, next Tuesday, while we recap every single game of Week 3 and let you know if our hot takes came true and if our picks were right or not.
I'm confident.
If you guys are in the pick'em, make sure you do your picks before Sunday. Remember, if you don't do a week, you're basically out of it. So don't forget to fill out your games. So that's going to wrap up the episode today. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.